Hugh, in the last few months, we've all seen how congested the city has become with motor cars. And if the idea is to give the city back to the people, I think if we had to look at the number of cars that are going around now and put all those into the central city again, together with all the buses, I think that the central city, this is just my opinion, but I want to ask what you think, I think the central city will not be for the people. I think we've all sort of tired of standing, stop, start all the time, particularly the buses. I don't like going in buses anymore. So this is my thought anyway.
Look, thank you very much, and I do please put that idea into the list. But look, realistically, I mean, I don't think this is about removing any mode of transport. You know, I don't think we're going to. We need cars. I have a car and I drive places, but I love to walk and I love to ride my bicycle and I catch a bus sometimes. And I think we have to provide that choice for people. The question, I think, is what balance and where. So there are some places where we might want more cars and cars to be able to travel faster. Other places where we might want cars to move more slowly. And there are one or two places, such as Cashel Moor, where we don't want cars at all, except for service vehicles. So look, I think it's coming up with a balanced solution that meets the needs of people. And I think we have to have a discussion with the public about what that balance is. So I don't think we don't have we haven't got fixed ideas about that at all.
Given that at the moment we all individually own blocks of land, and particularly in the central city where building owners / landlords are stuck with a model whereby they're individually responsible, the banks and the insurance companies all work on that model, is there any way that we might speed this up by perhaps working on a model like they offered in Kobe, and where on my own individual lane on the hill we have incorporated societies / strata titles, that moving forward quickly we could move to a system whereby perhaps the existing landowners give up some rights but retain rights in a larger block of land so we can get on and build this thing a bit more quickly, perhaps?
Look, I think it's a very interesting idea, and I think Beirut, after the the wars, tried something similar where they basically established a company which all the landowners had shares in. But look, I think it's a good idea, and we have a team of people working with the market and business community. We'll discuss it with them. I can't make any more comment than that.
All right, up the top. Yep.
Hello. My question is more about September the 4th and the following earthquake on December the 26th. Now, after both of those events, people were allowed back into the city fairly quickly. And we're both users of the city, and I've been very aware that, in my opinion, many of the buildings that were still there were in an unsafe condition, and yet people were able to walk around them, go into them, walk under the verandas. Now, how many of those buildings actually collapsed in the 22nd earthquake and killed or injured people? And the other part of the question is it going to be safe? How are you going to assure us that it is going to be safe to move back into the city when you do reopen it, if we have still got buildings that look unsafe still in situ? Why can't we get on and get the things down and make it safe for people to walk there comfortably without worrying about whether they're going to hit by bricks or whatever? Thank you.
Look, I think it's a little bit outside my area of expertise. The government has established a Royal Commission into particularly the performance of a couple of the large building failures, and it will also look at the, as I understand it, I think that whether or not the stickering system worked appropriately. But look, I think that one of the key parts of this recovery plan is to be able to reassure people that the central city is safe. Now, that's again something we'll have to do with the government. They're looking at the building codes. They've introduced temporary measures. But look, we all want a safe central city, and that's one of the principles that the council has adopted as a draft, and I think it's fundamental.
Hopefully, a more answerable question is, what is the scope of the city plan? Specifically, are there going to be provisions around aesthetics of what can be rebuilt, the sorts of materials people can use, or is it going to be more dictated by a building code rather than, aesthetics?
The Central City Plan can address, or could address, matters such as aesthetics or urban design, and I think really we're hoping to get a steer from the public as to what sort of things they'd like to see addressed. Now, that's kind of the idea of this Share an Idea program, that people tell us their concerns. We think we'll start to see patterns within those, that a lot of people will have, similar ideas, and then we'll come back to you and we'll say, this is what we've heard, these are some options for dealing with that. So that's our intention. So look, it's a good idea. Put it forward, please.
Thank you. I have two questions. I have attended a number of local council meetings which were to consult with the people, and I came away with a very strong feeling that it wasn't consultation, it was informing. I want from you an assurance that the consultation will in fact be listened to. And my second question is that you're going to get an awful lot of different ideas. What is the basis and how will you determine which ideas you will run with?
Look, there are a lot of different... I can speak for my team and I can assure you that this process, we really want to hear what people think. I've spoken with the councillors and they indicated to me that they're absolutely committed to listening to what people think. Now, we listen, but I also think that not everybody can have their way. We can't give everybody's idea, we can't make everybody's idea happen. So, in the end of the day, the legislation, the Act, says that the council has to decide, make a decision on what's, what the plan will look like. I can only encourage you to stand up and be counted, to put your idea forward. If you don't do that, nobody can hear it. So, and to stay involved, to keep coming back and to keep saying what you think.
Who's next? Anyone up the top there wants to ask a question while we're up there? Okay, turn left, Jenny, turn left. Cheers.
I'd just like to follow up on that last gentleman's question. I don't think the selection process was answered. How are you going to select from all the different ideas the ones that are going to be put forward for further discussion?
If you go to the Share an Idea website now and have a look, I think you'll see that there are some themes rising out. They're obvious. A number of people think the same thing, and those ideas, those themes, I think, start to guide where we look in the future. I think we will also have a process where we go through the ideas, and we may select some really good ideas, some great ideas, and actually put them into and do them. And we'll let people know. We'll feed back to them, we think your idea was good, we're going to do it. But I think it's what gives people's opinions weight is often the buy-in, the consensus, the support of a community. And that's really what we're looking for at the moment, is the broader Christchurch community, what do they want to see?
Thank you, Hugh. All right, we've got 5 minutes left. Can you just raise your hand just so we get an indication? Right, we've got a hell of a lot of questions. Okay, the shorter the better. You're doing very well. We'll just take one more up here, then we'll come down to you, sir, and then we may come back across over here and over here. All right.
My question actually is regarding the community, and that is not just the central city, it is suburbs that have been munted. So where do they fit in on the general plan, particularly thinking of Bexley, Dallington, etc.?
The plan that we're talking about here today is for the central city. So that's the plan that the council's been charged to develop. Now, my understanding is that Sarah, which is the new government department, is responsible for developing an overall recovery strategy for all of Christchurch, and that within that they may do recovery plans for specific areas. They are also responsible for identifying the areas of where land will be remediated or may not be able to be remediated. So that responsibility lies with Sarah. I do know that there is a team at the council working on some of the suburban centres and starting to look at how we can support them to rebuild and re-energise. And I know a number of communities are doing it themselves off their own bats, which is fantastic.
Hugh, having not had the opportunity, like most of us in this room, to go inside the cordon and look at the scale of devastation, how realistic is it when you're talking about the new look of Christchurch, the new green city? How realistic is that when you're going to have a patchwork of some buildings that are existing and an insurance company won't accept that it needs to be demolished? How can you achieve that unless you've got overriding powers at Sarah or at the council to compulsorily purchase buildings that are probably otherwise going to be deemed to be still usable?
Look, I think it's unrealistic to think of this plan as a master plan that will determine everything that happens. It is essentially a framework within which new buildings, be they 30% or 60% of new buildings being rebuilt, fit. And I think that the framework has to be strong enough to contain and work with the existing buildings. I don't believe we're in a position that we can afford to be pulling down good buildings given the number of buildings we've lost. So the framework won't be a blank canvas. It won't be a sort of a complete a perfect masterpiece. But look, cities they're wonderful things, and they're made up of the best ones are made up of the patina of thousands of individual actions. The more the better. The really old cities, if you visit somewhere like Constantinople, there are centuries of actions, and you can see them all, the layers in the streets. And so I don't think that having one mind controlling all of that, one council controlling all of that, is necessarily desirable.
If a building is green stickered, that's a commercial building, can an insurance company demolish it?
Yes, that is a possible outcome. So the green stickers are simply relate to access. A green sticker indicates that the building is safe to access. It's done on an external inspection generally, so an engineer might spend 15 minutes walking around the building looking. The responsibility is with the landowner to assess the structural damage once they get access to the building. And it may well be that the damage is either so serious that it has to be pulled down, or the cost of repairing it is too much. So a green stickered building can be demolished. Obviously, it's less likely than a red stickered building, but the sticker itself, yeah.
Hugh, thank you very much. I'm very sorry we do have to try and keep to our time schedule today. What I would suggest, if you do have a question for Hugh, I'm sure you'll be around, Hugh, feel free to approach Hugh after here and just cover off any other questions. I'm very sorry we couldn't get through all of them. Please, a round of applause for Hugh Nicholson.